Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, lovely people from wherever you're watching from. I am so pleased to introduce you to this lady right next to me. We have connected through Moms in Business, I believe. I put a shout out there for people who have got an up spiraling, a positive spin on grief, a beautiful story to share. And Kylie reached out to me. It was something that really, truly touched my heart. And I was super excited about bringing her on camera. So Kylie Brennan, welcome to Up Spiral Grief. Would you do us the honor to introduce yourself to our audience briefly?
Thank you so much. I'm exactly the same. I'm so touched to be here. And you and I, in our very brief chat, I've already noticed so many synchronicities. So it's just so nice to be here today. I am
lovely to have you.
Thank you. I'm also a mindset coach, and my story of grief that Marie and I are going to speak about today is around the loss of my identical twin sister, Karen. So would you believe, actually on Facebook this morning, my Facebook memories are of the day the story began.
Oh, wow. Like, perfect.
I feel like she's, okay, let's tell the story, let's share it. So yeah. It was very timely.
That's lovely. I really love that. I was so happy that you reached out to me because very rarely do I get to speak to somebody who's so close to me, like literally physically close to me, because we only live a few kilometers away from each other, and we also notice that our kids are going to the same school. So that's just so beautiful. I'm really stoked to have connected with you, and I too am already very blessed, after our very brief pre-chat that we had. And we deliberately both said, let's not share too much because we want to keep the spontaneity for the interview. So there are a lot of things that I don't know yet, but would you honor us with sharing a story about your twin sister, Karen?
Yeah, so as I said, it was 7 years ago today. I actually flew to Hawaii to spend time with my best friend, and she was having surgery that day, simple surgery to remove some fibroids. And my journey to Hawaii was really special because I had 6 months earlier gone through a pretty complicated miscarriage that ended up it was malignant, and there was a huge life-threatening bleed as well. So it was a bit of a healing journey for me.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Karen before I flew out. She seemed great. She was post-op and very drowsy. And I arrived in Hawaii, had 16 hours there, and whilst out for cocktails, I got a horrendous FaceTime from my husband, who had said that in that matter of hours that I was flying and was in Hawaii, the family were trying to work out whether or not to let me know what was going on.
Yeah.
So this simple fibroid removal became very complicated as soon as they opened her up. They found 2 massive tumours on her ovaries, which, I'm having goosebumps all over. This is incredible. Yeah. And, she actually thought the start of it was due to a miscarriage because they were trying for their 3rd baby. Yeah. And little Billy had turned 2 the day before the surgery, so still breastfeeding. Yeah. That was a huge, massive shock. And I was told on that call that she was terminal and that they had roughly estimated about 5 months that she had. So it was straight back to Sydney to be with her and support her. Yeah, and I can imagine. Yeah, it was because it was such a shock and because she was so vital. It was very much, what the hell do you do in this situation? And we just had to go with it. So there was lots of doctor's appointments, second opinions, third opinions, 10th opinions. Of course. And so we found an amazing surgeon and we ended up getting an extra 2 years with her. Oh, wow. It's beautiful. What a gift. Yeah, and that took Billy to 4 years old. So it was just so special and horrible, but time was so precious, and her illness was, complicated. She had such a beautiful approach to it and a very mindful approach to it. So there was a lot of gifts throughout the journey of, two young mums in separate twins until, you know, we became mums. So our priorities, we realized, you know, we haven't had a full cup of tea together in years because we always get interrupted. So I remember early in the piece, we were just saying, oh my gosh, we're actually sitting here drinking tea after tea and having all this really quality time. So we learned very quickly to make
so am I correct in saying that you've got two girls and Karen two boys, is that right?
Yes.
So Billy was her younger one. He was 4 when she passed away. And how old was her older one?
He was 7. So he has just turned 9 in the last couple of days. And her eldest Hank is going to be 13 in May. So it's a lot for children to go through, watching her so unwell and in and out of hospital. So, you know, that 2 years, although you go through so much, it's also pretty profound what it prepares you for and how the foundations get laid, I guess, for grief. And, you know, just soaking in all of the messages that she wanted to leave behind. She wrote a book to them, which has become a big part of my grief journey.
Please tell us about this book. I find this is such a beautiful story.
So she actually, would you believe, she wrote 3, half finished the third, which I finished for her, and then what I call a posthumous collaboration. We have co-authored a 4th book. So her first book really is what she wanted to tell the boys, what she wanted to do.
Oh, you're frozen now. Test. Kylie, I cannot hear you now. I'm not really sure whose internet connection it is. Oh, I've got you back now. Yay, I've got you back. So please start again. I did not hear the beginning of the book. So,
So she wrote this book for her babies. And, you know, she wrote it so beautifully because she knew when she passed away, it'd be the hardest thing that they go through. But they wouldn't have her words at a time when only mummy's words will do, right? So she wrote this book, didn't really share it with them early because there was hope in the middle there for a while that she would live a longer life. And the story really gently, lovingly guides them to always stay connected to her. It shows them how to stay connected to her. And it helps them to have a ritualistic way of connecting to her. And when she first started writing them, as a coach, she asked me to put some tools into the book. So technique in each book, and the technique for the boys is called anchoring, where they can use physical touch to connect with her as well as emotional touch. And it was such a beautiful story and so needed by them because she was anticipating what would happen. So bless you.
Thank you.
So she passed before we got a chance to do much with it. I was able to find 2 illustrators for the whole series, and beautiful. She knew what the front covers were going to be, so I had the illustrators draw the front covers.
You had the briefing ready? It's beautiful.
You got to see the front cover. She approved of it and she loved it. So when she passed, it was really important to have a copy for the boys because she visualized them, you know, reading it at nighttime, having it under their pillow, which they still do today. And they are able to connect with her every night. The language in the book has become the way our family talks about grief, talks about her. And from the moment that she passed away, we began to talk about looking for her and finding signs of connection. And the boys straight away were seeing her, feeling her, and
that is so beautiful.
So it was the first Mother's Day without her, I think. The second one, sorry. I'd had the book enough in digital version, and little Billy had a copy on Daddy's iPad, and he took Daddy's iPad to school that day. And I had no idea it was about to happen, but we were doing the first ever reading. And so it got put up on the screen and it was read to the class. It was so beautiful. The teacher had to help me, then I had to help the teacher, because it's a really emotional book.
I can imagine.
It's just beautiful. What I didn't realize was going to happen, though, was some of the parents came up to me afterwards and they were so appreciative, because no one tells the kids at school how to participate. And
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah. Instead,
it's usually, with the best intentions, it's usually don't talk about it, don't bring it up, because we don't want to upset them.
Yeah.
Whereas in our family, we talk about her all the time. She still has a seat at the Christmas table with a Santa hat on the urn, and she's still so much part of our lives. And so they were so grateful to have the dialogue to be able to talk about her and know what was appropriate to say.
Yeah.
So that's been published, and
it is so tricky, because I, like, from my own experience, I know how individually different that is. You know, when Rob passed, both the boys needed something completely different. One wanted to talk about Dad the entire time, the other one didn't want to talk about him at all, and then it actually switched. Then the other one didn't want to talk, and then the other one, you know, it was just, I always felt like it was so individual, and also day by day what their needs were, and also obviously in terms of circumstances and how people talk about it. But I find it so incredibly important that this dialogue is open up at school, you know, because at school, like, even the teacher said to me, please let us know what you need. They are not equipped with it. This is nothing that they get taught when they become a teacher, how to actually address that, which I find is such a shame, because death is part of life. This is the one guarantee that it happens to all of us at some stage. And for that to not be in a curriculum, it's that you need to teach becoming teachers how to deal with it. It's actually quite a shame, to be honest. So,
and it's 1 in 20 kids that have, you know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like, I had an interview also with the founder of Feel the Magic, and they did the 1 in 20 challenge, because it does happen to 1 in 20 kids under the age of 18 that they lose one or more or both parents, you know, and it's just
important.
The statistic is quite significant for us to maybe make some changes. So I find it extremely beautiful that Karen did that in her passing and passed the gift out into the world that went way beyond just her kids. So I'd really love for you to share in the comments below where people can actually find the book. Can you tell us what the title of the book is?
My Mummy Lives in My Heart. And interestingly, Marie, the second book really does mirror your story.
Yeah.
My dad will always be a part of me. So it's so proud that we're helping children grieve, and Feel the Magic are actually using My Mummy Lives in My Heart as part of their research.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Love it. Shout out to Feel the Magic.
Yes. And unfortunately, COVID prevented it, but I was going to be speaking with the kids about sibling loss.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that I'm sure will happen in the future. It's just such a special thing. And I have teachers saying to me how important this book is, and you know, lots of teachers are ordering it for their library because they want that avenue to be able to connect with these kids, and that permission, if you like, with this dialogue. So it's really special.
I think that's really beautiful, because I often get asked, you know, in our movement here as well, like, do you have any recommendations, books for kids, etc. So I'm really, really glad that we can add that to our library, because it's just it's just really important to be able to have tools to talk to our kids about it, in particular because their needs are so different and so individual. So how, like, I know, like, as an identical twin, you've got such a strong connection, and you know, it's almost like you think for your sister, and having that, you know, past her passing, that connection to actually write another book and co-author that with her is incredibly spiritual and beautiful. I also want to ask, though, because often when somebody passes away, you talk about their family and their kids, yet the two of you being so close, how did you deal with her passing, and how did your kids deal with her passing? Because the connection is so much closer when you are an identical twin. And I'd really love to know how you went through all of that.
And my daughter's one in particular looks so much like her when she was a teenager. She used to call her my twin auntie. So, look, being an identical twin, we have always, like, all of your memories, all of your core memories are of with that person. And I did see a definition or a meme or something one time, because obviously there's a lot of, unfortunately, what they call twinless twins around there in the world, and there's groups that you can go to, and it's called complicated grief, because you've never been anything than an identical twin or a twin with fraternal. So your identity is wrapped up in this other person. Or we were the girls, or Karen and Kylie, or, you know, if I made a new friend, whether they liked it or not, Kathy was coming along, partners, they had to deal with us. And, you know, we would rock up when somebody was going to an event and the other one would just come along. So it was always the case, if you get one of us, you get both of us. And that's non-negotiable. So, you know, so tight, even for identical twins, is what people used to say to us. And being so identical, often people either can't tell you apart or find it really difficult or awkward to try and tell you apart. So you really lumped in together into this one identity, which is fabulous. It's amazing. And so it's like a combination of your best friend, your partner, a little bit of all of the family members, and you're never more understood by somebody than having an identical twin. So it's beautiful. And it also means that every single memory is hers as well. So getting ready for her to pass, I was very much called, I guess you would say, to make it a ritual for her. We had both birth partners for each other twice. And so, not that I meant to, but it really became almost like birth experience. There was candles, music, there was oil burning, and she had Billy at home and she passed at home. So it was really significant. And watching all of the family add their special touch to that as well was just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so when they passed, I actually had a burning in my chest until the day before her first anniversary. And as a coach, I had just assumed that it was some sort of anger. And it was like a ring right in the middle of my chest. And it began the second that she passed. And it was only the day before her first anniversary, I was in meditation and she visited me. And she actually said, "You now breathe for the two of us." And it disappeared. So it was almost like the body, my physical body and my soul was, hang on, this doesn't feel right to do without. So it's amazing, the physicality of grief and how we so easily misinterpret it as like this punishing feeling. But once I realized that, it instantly disappeared. And I now see for her, I now live for her, I now you know, continue life. And all of these experiences, it's for both of us. So it's again, it's a dual experience. It's hard, and you know, even on the weekend we had a little birthday get together for her son, and it was just magical. Because also another layer, I guess, to being an identical twin is that I look exactly like her. So I quite enjoy seeing her look back at me from the mirror. I really love that. When I catch up with some of her best friends, it's always a little bit fun, actually. It's we used to call it the twin thing, when people would get confused and we'd have a little
Yeah.
bit of fun. It's almost a little bit fun when people would stop mid-conversation and go, oh my God, you just did a Cassie face. Oh my God. And it's quite lovely to be the by proxy that she visits them through.
Yeah.
So
that is really beautiful, and I feel it is such a gift. It's really amazing when you have that. I think it must be also quite consoling for her friends and her family to see you, you know, and to see her in you. I have a couple of rather confronting questions. I hope it's okay to put it out there, but I think they're quite important to talk about. We often talk about Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross when she talks about the different stages that people mistakenly always talk about, the different stages of grief. Yet when Dr. Kubler-Ross actually wrote about it, there were stages for terminally ill people, you know, talking about the bargaining, the denial, the anger, like they were never meant to be for grief. They were meant to be for terminally ill people. Going through that in preparation of their passing, did you and Karen talk about this, or is that something, being identical twins, that you experienced just as much as her? Can you share a little bit about that?
You know, it's so interesting because watching her go through the early stages, I instantly, maybe it's because I'm a coach, but I think more so it's because I'm her twin, and I can just know, there's a knowingness, there's an unsaidness that we would always be able to get each other. And, you know, if one's in a room and feeling uncomfortable, the other one would pick up the slack, or vice versa. And so when she was first diagnosed, it was so shocking and it was so big. I feel like there was almost this immediate phasing in our minds that had to happen. So the first phase was get all of the information and advice that we can. And that was going to all of the doctors. And there was anger around us, and a lot of people asked me why I wasn't angry. I strongly and firmly believe that was through my training, because through my training to become a coach, I had to be coached. So I had reprogrammed the way that I experience anger, the way that I experience things. And I'd just been through a pretty profound grief period anyway. So I didn't have time, space, or the desire to go into that place. There was no time to waste. And
that's a beautiful perspective.
You know, it was so precious. And those days were so taxing on her because she'd already had a pretty major surgery and was recovering from that days into all of this. So it was very much a protectiveness of her sacred space. And so the phases didn't really come calmly. They would come with quite critical events. And it was really just, I guess what we would do to process it was, at the end of the day, talk about what information we got. Does that align with how we're feeling? And if not, what is it that we're looking for? And it didn't take long for us to start looking for hope. And we were even, it's not bargaining as in grief, but we were even saying, okay, the person tomorrow, if they mention the word miracle or hope, he's our guy. It became really just matching our expectations with what felt right, knowing that not much of it was in our hands. And so when we found Prof. Morris, he was so forthcoming in his why he does what he does. It came with him into the room, and he just oozed, I'm going to find out what's going on. I've got you. So we didn't really do those stages. We just went, what do we want to happen which is not, you don't really get to get what you want in this scenario, but what will be enough for us? And hope was enough. And, you know, it was almost like setting the tone for what we're looking for the next day. And if you go looking for hope, you're more likely to find it than if you go looking for a closed door or, you know, sorry, there's nothing we can do. What you expect with your mindset is what your mindset is going to go looking for. So I feel like we were in good stead to be able to do that. And she very early, very, very early, really started looking for gratitude, and she practiced gratitude daily. She started a blog, Cancer with a Grateful Heart.
Oh,
and
wow.
even if it took a couple of days, she would write as she processed these big surgeries or these big glorious letdowns of expectations, and she would write about them and find the gratitude.
Is that blog still available?
It is still available. Not as often as I used to, but I do pop things up there as well. So Cancer with a Grateful Heart, and just the way
it would be really beautiful to share that as well, because I believe that will be very helpful for people as well. I really love hearing that from your perspective. I just also like, I can imagine, you know, being an identical twin, because this is what the story is all about, that strong connection that you have and the legacy that you have left and are leaving for Karen still and ongoing. How do you feel that you also make it about your life? Do you know what I mean? I'm very aware of how much focus goes onto Karen and her legacy and her kids and her stories and how to help. How are you dealing with your own needs, with, you know, Kylie in that twin story, you know, because I'm very concerned, I have to say, about where you stand in this. And I'd really love to know how you feel about how you look after yourself, really.
It's, you know, people all have their own, what I call fingerprint around grief. My relationship with Karen has its own fingerprint, and so does Mum's, so does our siblings, Tracy and Greg, so does Dad. All of her best friends have their own fingerprint. And, you know, Cassie used to say, you know, how amazing it was that she had so many soulmates in best friends, in her husband, Pete. And
that's beautiful.
The one thing I struggled with when I miscarried and with the grief group for twinless twins is grief is known so much socially as this place that you're supposed to be where no one understands you, right? And, you know, being a widow, nobody would understand your relationship with Rob. They weren't privy to it. And early on, socially, it felt like this, almost like a pull to be that person who has half of her missing. And it took a while, but I started to see this grief space. You know, people talk about it as being this hollow hole, which it is, right? It's this Karen-shaped hole that is next to me, in front of me, behind me, but it's also in other people that she loved. They're walking around with a Karen-sized hole as well. And when you get a wave of grief or something reminds you, it like, you can hear the waves reverberating in that hole, and it starts to echo, and it's like, stop everything and become this grief. And for a long time, I didn't really see that there was any other option, but I didn't want to prescribe to it either. It just felt wrong to me. And I had seen this incredible impact she had on nurses. Nurses used to come to her room just for chats and say, oh my gosh, look at me. You're the sick one and you've made me feel so much better. That was not her skin and bones. That was not her physicality that had that impact on people. And so I made a choice to see this Karen-shaped hole not as the empty space where she used to be, but the space that I can still find her.
Oh,
so
that's beautiful.
yeah, so
Yeah.
the more I did that, the more I expected to find her there. Yes, it takes work, but the more I expected to find her there, the more I got signs. This is 5 years later, and I still get a daily sunflower in some form every single day. And people still send them to me. I get messages on Facebook of people that have been to a field of sunflowers, or a meme pops up. I see somebody with a t-shirt. If I expect to see her, feel her, even touch her, though you can't physically do it anymore, I will always, always find her. So it's almost like making that choice to set my intentions, set my mindset, set my experience to we're still connected. We're still, you know, she's
100%.
She's taking care of things behind the veil. I'm taking care of things behind the veil. So I don't think it's possible, from my experience as an identical twin, to move on without her. So, and, you know, if half of me left with her, that means half of her stayed with me. So it's almost, it's not a job, it's not an expectation, but it's my way of being. I just bring her with me now.
I find it so beautiful as well, you know, for you to say that it's not moving on without her, it's moving on with her. And it is so apparent, like literally apparent. I'm having goosebumps the entire time I was listening to you. I've kept getting these waves of goosebumps all over my body, which is, it's so beautiful. I love the message that you share. I love the message of moving forward with her. I so agree with that. I find it beautiful that you shared about that term, the twinless twins. It really touches me so deeply, because I remember having one of our own members of the group, she's one of our moderators, Terry, he speak to us about motherless moms, and there is actually a term for that, and they call them motherlings, which I think is just so beautiful, you know. And it's a different approach, but quite similar, you know, that whole thing. When you lose a twin, are you still a twin? When you lose your only child, are you still a mother? The answer to me is always yes. You know, nothing changes within. You do move forward with them in your heart, and it means so much more than words can ever express. And I feel that with the interview that you shared with us today, you brought this whole entire concept of that so much closer to us, and I can't thank you enough for that. I really value the depth of what you have shared here with us. I would love for you to share the links to her blog, to her books in the comments below, or any way how people can connect to you if they want to. And before we conclude the interview, I'd love to know, is there any final message that you would like to wrap this up with? Then I'd like to hear that from you.
Oh, final message. I think, you know, it's really about, do you know what I'll share with you? So many people have asked me over the last 5 years how you're so strong, how you're so resilient. And in February last year, I wrote a book about it. And I sat down and I kind of asked myself, what is the formula? What is it that I did each day? And we, unknowingly, we were planting the seeds through her illness, and we created this. And I firmly believe we created it together, although it was never said. The book is called Focus is Fertiliser, and the fertilizer is these 3 elements. And really, the first element is about attention, where you put your attention. So I could focus on that empty Karen-shaped hole, or I can focus on where she can be found in that hole or around me. And I can focus on being a twinless twin, or I can focus on us being the unbreakable two, you know, and the intention or the energy behind it. The second that I shift that energy, I will always find her. So it's also looking outside of me for her. Sure, I'm going to find her in photos. I'm going to find her in my family's memories, but looking inside of me for her, I'll always find her. The second element is presence. And for me, that's being here today. So not longing for memories gone by, appreciating those memories gone by, and not focusing on how many years ahead I have until I see her again.
Yeah.
It's about being here today and connecting to her today. Because when I'm not present, she's nowhere to be found because I'm blocking that. So the biggest thing for me is probably meditation, being in nature. And then finally is appreciation. You know, appreciating we had 39 amazing years. She's left beautiful kids, and the faces they pull, the stories they tell, their nature, they've both gotten different parts of her, which is so beautiful. And my kids look like her because, you know, we joke
look like you.
they're actually siblings because our DNA is identical. So, and the kids are so close, and the extended family, cousins, there's so many similarities to be found in all of the cousins from her. And, you know, I'm just so grateful that she chose me and I chose her to incarnate and do this together. So it's really about finding space in your day to really focus on what's good for you, what's healthy for you. And we call it living forward in our family. She said that to Mum shortly before she passed, and Mum shared that with us. We all just, it's so special. And I guess if I reverse in my mind what it would be like if I was the one that went, if I had to endure watching her not living forward, it would be horrible. So I kind of think she wants me thriving. She wants me
absolutely
living.
I always say that's exactly the essence of love. That's what love is. You want the other person to be happy. And I think you portray that really, really beautifully. You live it, you embrace it, you fully, you know, you are the impersonation of her legacy, which is incredible. It's really beautiful that you took that on. I cannot thank you enough for being here today, for sharing all about your story and your very, very special books that you have created together with her in co-creation. So we'll be sharing all these links. Kylie said that she'll come back into the group after the interview and be sharing all these links. There'll be a lot of links to click on. And thank you so much for being here today. I really, really appreciate it. To everybody watching here, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments and we can get back to you. Thank you so much. Much love to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Have a beautiful day, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you in person because we might meet at school pickup anytime.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. Everybody have an amazing day. This is Marie and Kylie signing off. Bye for now.